All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I kind of want to just check in with how my first round of conferences went, first period, with my newspaper class. I would say 90% of the kids whom I spoke with were spot on. We were able to talk about not only the things they felt most proud of in the marking period and the portfolio pieces they'd be pulling. We got to talk about their progress. We got to talk about the things that they're learning, and I think that moving in the right direction. There was really only one student who was a little off, who was talking about her effort more than her output. And although I appreciate a great deal of effort, and that's something I always say to kids, we should always be working hard and really proud of the work that we're trying to do, the bottom line is that it's not necessarily about how hard you work, it's about your level of proficiency against the standards. And sometimes just because you're working really hard, unfortunately, you're still not where you need to be against the standards. So when I sat down with her, I kind of had a blanket discussion with the class before I started, reminding kids that A+ are kind of off the table. I don't believe that any student gets to a place where they've mastered everything so much that there's no room to grow. I wouldn't even give myself an A+ if I had to grade myself. I think there's so much, there's something about an A+ that just ends it. And grading in itself is just, there's such an imprecise sort of situation. So this one student, we sat down and I said, you know, I do notice that you're still getting a lot of feedback about the same kind of things. You're not implementing the things that you're learning as you go, and the editors still have to give you the same feedback over and over and over again. And for that reason alone, I think I call into question your level of mastery, because if you were mastering something at this point, the likelihood of you making the same mistakes wouldn't be there. You might be making new mistakes, and that's totally okay. I'm okay with people trying new things and taking risks and then still needing to get things finished. But if you're making the same minor mistakes and the things that are happening is a huge part of the journalism curriculum that we're working on, then it's something we really need to work on. And she looked at me and she smiled and she said, I know, when I look at my pieces and I go back through them and I notice that they are giving me that. So she and I were able to come to an agreement that, you know, it's awesome that she's working hard and she's taking on so many different articles. It's time for her to slow down just a little bit and start proofreading her own work, so that by the time it gets to the editors, they're not there and responsible for essentially editing her work down to rewriting it. So overall, it went pretty well. I'm going to write about it. There'll be a post once I do a bunch more sessions. I'm hoping to maybe even record a full conference with one of my students later today if they agree to it, and hopefully we'll be able to share that. Anyway, I hope everyone has a super day, and if you're thinking about doing these kind of conferences with students, if you don't do them already, I would love for you to reach out to me. I could help you with the Google Forms that I do to collect the information ahead of time. It really is a time saver when it comes time to get kids in front of you and move through them in an efficient sort of way while gathering the data that you need as well to support the information that's coming in. So if you have questions, tweet me at